Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Divine Being look over us lovingly as a mother and father. May the Divine Being support and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. May no misunderstandings arise amongst us. Om, peace, peace. Peace be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere, which of course very much and richly includes those of you who are on the screen here. Just a quick announcement about this health business that's been going on here. The mechanism seems to be working fine. My subjective assessment is that there is an increase in energy of between 20 and 33%, which has been very gratefully received. On Tuesday afternoon is the first follow-up visit with the cardiologist, where they will measure this. And if there's anything truly remarkable out of that Tuesday afternoon meeting, that there'll be a bulletin about it, but I don't expect there will be. So you can just expect to see the next information about it in next Thursday's e-newsletter. And for those of you who've been in communication and shown your love and concern, you know how gratefully received that has been. So enough about that for this morning. There are some announcements, of course. I'd just like to remind you that for those of you who haven't visited Swami Yogeshananda's memorial album, it is up on the homepage of our website. Please visit this endearing and touching tribute to that great soul. If you have anything to add to it, a memory in writing or a picture of him, just email it and to me, and I'll get it to Cindy and with anything that I'd like to add to it, and we'll put it. It's not a fixed thing. We can add to it anytime. So our first face-to-face meeting as a congregation. Very happily looking forward to that. We'll gather here at the center on Sunday, July 4th at 11 a.m. We should all be fully vaccinated by then. The activities that day will include short talks on Swami Vivekananda and Swami Prabhavananda, some sharing by the congregation, which will include songs, and then we'll come in the monastery for the first time in a year and a half about, and enjoy a potluck lunch. So watch your e-newsletter or check the website for any further details. There will be 2 Seva Saturdays in June in order to get the center ready for our first face-to-face gathering. That'll be on Saturday, June the 19th and Saturday, June the 26th. For those of you who are not totally familiar with Seva Saturdays, they start at 10 a.m., end at 2 p.m. There is a list provided of activities that you can work on. And if you're here at lunchtime, which is defined as 12:30, then you'll have some mellow mushroom pizza or some other delicious lunch. So we want to get the center inside and outside ready to receive our congregation in style. So is there any other announcement that might have been made that was not made? Anything else? All right. Well, I'm going to sing us a song this morning. We are climbing Jacob's ladder. We are climbing Jacob's ladder. We are climbing Jacob's ladder, children of her love. Every rung goes higher, higher. Every rung goes higher, higher. Every rung goes higher, higher. Children of her love. Children, do you want your freedom? Children, do you want your freedom? Children, do you want your freedom? Children of her love. Keep on climbing, you will make it. Keep on climbing, you will make it. Keep on climbing, you will make it. Children of her love. She is waiting to take your hand. Yes, she is waiting to take your hand. Yes, she is waiting to take your hand. Children of her love. Children of her love. Children of her love. Om Amen. And of course, Jacob's ladder is the spine, and the spiritual centers in the spine area. And climbing Jacob's ladder is, of course, a metaphor for spiritual practice. I'd just like to emphasize again, as I have been saying for some time now, that what you're about to hear is not something that you are expected to believe or adopt. It is not personal instruction. It is an attempt to explain the inexplicable, to describe the indescribable in such a way that it makes some sense for us as spiritual aspirants when we hear about how an explanation was given by a great sage of how universe actually came to be and why it came to be and how it operates. So Sankhya is that. But we'll start with this. June is a month for the study of Karma Yoga, a spiritual path leading to the abandonment of selfishness. As a karma yogi, you practice offering your actions and their results, as well as your perceptions, thoughts, and feelings to the divine presence. Even before knowing this presence, you hold firmly to the belief that that presence is within each person or other living being that you interact with or serve. Working and abiding in this spirit, you are increasingly able to release attachment to your activities and their results. This yields the freedom and contentment promised by Sri Krishna about Karma Yoga. As he said, even a little practice of this yoga will save you from the terrible wheel of rebirth and death. That's from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2. So this morning's talk, as I said, an attempt to explain the inexplicable, describe the indescribable, is called 24 Principles of Your Being, Sankhya Cosmology. In Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna's explanation of the four yogas, especially karma and Raja Yoga, is rooted in Sankhya philosophy. The better you understand Sankhya, the more likely you are to make practical use of what Krishna tells us. Sankhya is a Sanskrit word that, roughly speaking, means counting. As a philosophy, Sankhya explains who you truly are and how the everyday reality you perceive and interact with arises and captures your attention. It is difficult to date the origin of Sankhya. Some scholars find that its basic principles and practices predate the Vedas. Apparently, it was the post-Vedic sage Kapila who organized and formalized Sankhya. Using a system of 24 categories, Kapila begins with the great cause, Mahat, cosmic principle number 1. By the time he reaches the 5 gross elements, principles 20 through 24, Kapila's Sankhya can tell you why everything you know, why everything you know came to be, and why it persists during your 3 states of consciousness, waking, dreaming, and dreamless sleep, which are a parallel for the 3 states of the universe's manifestation and that in which it rests. Sri Krishna said of himself, he said, among perfected beings, I am the sage Kapila. That's from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verse 26. So this has the benefit of being that authoritative, if indeed you accept the authority of Sri Krishna and of his appearance as the sage Kapila. Basic texts we study here, Bhagavad Gita, Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, all refer to a system of belief called Sankhya. One of the 6 orthodox schools of Indian philosophy, Sankhya is a comprehensive cosmology that includes 24 cosmic principles. Scholars believe sage Kapila wrote the Sankhya Sutras in the 6th or 7th century BCE. Yet little is known about Maharishi Kapila's life. It is thought he lived in the Indian subcontinent at least several generations before the Buddha. Without some understanding of Kapila's unique description of how the universe came to be, how it works, it is hard to fully grasp what Sri Ramakrishna, sage Patanjali, and Lord Krishna try to tell us. This morning we will review the 24 cosmic principles and explore Kapila's very rational explanation of who we are and what we experience. Short texts from the books just mentioned will be used to illustrate the principle's significance in your everyday spiritual practice. So I'm going to read some definitions, and then I'm just going to go over it quickly and then go over it in detail. After I read the definitions, we'll take a few moments for any questions or clarification that you'd like to offer or ask. So some definitions from Sankhya. Purusha, the ground of being, beyond thought and speech. Purusha, Brahman, and Atman are roughly interchangeable terms for the same indescribable reality. Prakriti, the manifestation of being, nature, the source of thought, speech, and all else we can experience in normal awareness. Prakriti includes both Prakriti includes both is not, infinite potential, and is, infinite manifestation. Purusha is beyond is and is not. It is not conscious, it is consciousness itself. Prakriti is conscious, self-aware. Let me start that again. Prakriti is conscious, self-aware, inherently capable of self-limitation, anti-entropy, and making ever more complex names and forms. Vivekananda said, and this was based in his spiritual experience, Vivekananda said, "You see, I cannot believe that there is, I cannot but believe." Sorry. Vivekananda said, "You see, I cannot but believe that there is somewhere a great power that thinks of herself as feminine and called Kali and Mother." That's from the complete works of Sister Nivedita. So having said all that, having established those definitions and basic thoughts, are there any comments or questions? Anything to add or ask?
Brother Shankar?
Yes, Bhagarat.
I just wanted to add to what you said, that if one goes to a dictionary in Sanskrit language, Purusha will be called man, masculine, and Prakriti will be called feminine, but these are not the gender differentiations at all. They are in the yin and yang category.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they should be put together like that, so that we do not go to a gender difference between Purusha and Prakriti.
Thank you, dear. Exactly. There is no gender here. It's beyond gender. But Vivekananda says that this Prakriti, the reason it is thought of as that way is that it does have the characteristics of creation, that is, of motherhood. Creation, sustaining and protecting. So thank you, Bhagarat. Anything else?
Brother Shankara, this is Fred.
Yes, Fred.
Is Prakriti the same or similar concept to Ishvara?
Ishwari,
Ishwari.
the feminine form.
Oh, okay. So
Yes.
it is.
But it's also the same as Maya. So it's actually that which stands behind Ishwari and gives rise to Ishwari. Ishwari would be referred to as Mahat, the great cause. So they're not, it is the power that generates Ishwara and Ishwari, which are the great cause. And we'll describe the characteristics of those.
Thanks. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Good question. Anyone else? Anything? Okay, let's just quickly go through the 24 cosmic principles. Number 1 is Mahat, the great cause. This is the In other terms, this is the dawning of the day of Brahma. If you read chapter 8 of Bhagavad Gita, you'll find there's a description of the day of Brahma, the time of manifestation, and the night of Brahma, the time of no overt manifestation, but only potential. The reason it's said that Brahman or Purusha or Nirguna Atman is beyond that is there is no guna, there is no activity or even potential activity within Brahman, within Purusha. It is absolutely beyond any description, beyond any thought or speech. It's beyond is and is not. We can somewhat describe what is and is not, but we cannot describe that ground of being. But the analogy that's used is that Prakriti is like iron filings to a magnet. The magnet doesn't do anything to attract the iron filings. It simply is, and the iron filings are drawn to it. They move because the magnet is what it is. Now, of course, that's a very clumsy analogy, but it does give you some sense of the fact that Prakriti does not move of itself, though once in motion, it is apparently self-willed. So Mahat, the great cause, this simple love of being and creation that arises and gives its first birth, if you will, is of something called buddhi. When there is nothing, there's nothing to distinguish. When there is no manifestation, there's nothing to distinguish one thing from another. As soon as manifestation begins to arise, and there is one thing and another, then there also arises this faculty of being able to tell one thing from another. Buddhi, the discriminative power. From that arises who is discriminating, who is saying this is this and that is that. Ahamkara, ahamkara. Just a moment, please, Uma.
Sorry.
Just a moment. So we have Prakriti, Mahat, Buddhi, and then Ahamkara. There is as yet still only one. And yes, Uma, what was it you wanted to say?
Just wondering if we can call Mahat cosmic intelligence.
Cosmic intelligence?
Yes.
Yes. If we're going to use the terms Ishvara, Ishwari, we can definitely use cosmic intelligence. It is intelligent, self-aware, self-determined. As Sri Krishna says in the Gita, I am that, and I am self-willed, and I am the master.
Yes.
Everything that flows therefrom.
Thank you. And is it also unmanifest?
Mahat is not unmanifest. No.
Okay.
The potentiality is there.
Mm-hmm.
This is the night of Brahma, in which the three gunas, we'll get to the gunas, are potential, but in perfect equilibrium, so there is no manifestation.
Mhm.
In that instance, cosmic intelligence remains, but is not, in the sense that we would think of it, active.
Mhm.
It is a parallel to our unconscious state.
I see. I see. So it has potentiality, but no manifestation.
This is the way it is described in Sankhya and also in the Vedas, in the Upanishads. That Saguna Brahman or Saguna Atman, Brahman with attributes. Brahman without attributes, Nirguna Brahman, nothing can be said about that. But when we are now in either potential or actual manifestation, there are attributes. The attributes are cosmic intelligence, as you said, and the tools of that cosmic intelligence for creation, which are the gunas.
I see. So in that sense, it's not manifest, but it has potentiality.
In the night of Brahma,
Yeah.
when the gunas are all in equilibrium, but when it becomes manifest, the great cause occurs, which is spoken of in the Chandogya Upanishad as I am one, I shall become many,
Yes. Yes.
which seems to be, out of the description in Sankhya, out of the simple love of being, creating, acting, and doing.
Mhm.
So there's the unmanifest state
Mhm.
that is beyond is and is not,
Mhm.
and then there's the unmanifest state that we would call is not,
Mhm.
and then the manifest state that we would say is. I know this is tricky.
Mind-boggling. Yes.
Okay, anything else? Any other definitions or clarification? This is good. This is what we should be doing. Okay. Great cause, or Prakriti, out of Prakriti's natural effulgence arises the great cause. The great cause is self-aware, self-determined, and has intentions to bring manifestation into being. The first thing that occurs is there is one thing and another. There is a state of being in more than one form. So what distinguishes those different forms? This is before naming them, but simply distinguishing them. Then the cosmic intelligence says, oh, it is I who am doing this, and begins to name them, begins to name the forms. So this is buddhi and ahamkara. Only one buddhi, only one ahamkara. And now the process of creating what we would recognize as universe begins. And so ahamkara divides itself into more forms. One of the forms is mind as we experience it. Now the mind needs something to recognize and to interact with. So then we are in another branch, so to speak, we notice on a diagram of the cosmology of Samkhya that mind is by itself. Then there are that with which the mind interacts. The 5 organs of perception and the 5 organs of action. Perception, taste, feel, smell, sight, so on. The 5 organs of action, tongue, feet, hands, the organs of reproduction and evacuation. Now, what are these going to work with? So now we have the creation through, and this is all through the work of the Gunas. We'll explain the Gunas in a bit. There arise the subtle elements of what we would experience as reality. Combining and recombining, these subtle elements form earth, air, water, fire, and ether, the 5 elements of which the universe is composed. Now we have the 24 cosmic principles. Notice they're called principles. The principles take form in the way that I'll now explain. This is from Vivekananda's book, Inspired Talks. All powerful, wait a minute, all merciful, all powerful, omnipresent. Those are the attributes of the Divine Mother. She is the sum total of the energy in the universe. Every manifestation of power in the universe is Mother. She is life. She is intelligence. She is love. Notice, every manifestation of power in the universe. So we've gone from principles to expression. Every manifestation of power in the universe is Mother. She is life. She is intelligence. She is love. She is the universe, yet separate from it. She is a person and can be seen and known, as Sri Ramakrishna saw and knew her. Established in the idea of Mother, we can do anything. And then, as these great ones do, there's always a promise. She quickly answers prayers. How? Because we are that, as we'll get to. We are the Divine Mother. We are the divine being. We are that ahamkara through, as produced by all of those other cosmic principles. So Prakriti, Mother, nature, the cosmic womb. Mahat, now we're going to go through these principles again. So Prakriti, that from which everything arises. Mother, nature, the cosmic womb. Mahat, the great cause or principle of creation. That's principle number 1. Buddhi, awareness, discriminating, reasoning, and causative intelligence. Discriminating, reasoning, and causative intelligence. Principle number 2. Ahamkara, self-awareness, ego, or I maker. That's principle number 3. Now, mind you, as this description runs, there has been only one described in these various ways. Now it divides into three aspects or attributes. Manas, the mind. Mind is distinct from and separate from that which it interacts with. Manas, the mind, is distinct from. We get confused and we think the mind is with that which it interacts with. No, not at all. Manas, the mind, is separate from and is principle number 4, the 5 organs of perception, 5 through 9, sight, smell, hearing, taste, and touch. Those are the 5 organs of perception. If we're going to perceive something, we need a way to do this. This incredible action and experience machine that we inhabit has the capabilities of sight, smell, hearing, taste, and touch. And it also has, there's no fun if we just experience, we have to be able to act. So we have the 5 organs of action. These are principles 10 through 14. Tongue, feet, hands, and the organs of evacuation and reproduction. So now we have an experiencing and acting machine. The potential for it. All of these principles have been created of perception and action. Then experience what? Act with what? Dance with what? The 5 tanmatras, or subtle elements, 16 through 19. Notice these are as yet still subtle, not in material manifest, not yet matter. Sound, touch, aspect, taste, and smell. These combine and recombine, these subtle elements combine and recombine to create the 5 mahabhutas, gross elements, 20 through 24. Earth, water, air, fire, and ether. Prakriti, the Divine Mother, is the source of the 24 cosmic principles. Her self-aware consciousness is inherently transformative and creative. So, having run through all of that, and now we have the machine itself, the mind, which is a reflecting medium, as we'll see, all of these organs of action and perception deliver information to the mind, which is reflecting the eye maker. And because of all of this information, thinks I am the doer, I am the perceiver, I am the enjoyer. It's meant to. The game would be no fun whatsoever if we knew from the beginning how it worked. We deceive ourselves in order to play the game of creation, sustentation and protection, and transformation. This is the assertion of Sankhya. So anything at all about what's been said so far? We're doing fine for time. Okay. So I'll just read that again. The gross elements, earth, water, air, fire, and ether, they are that which constitute what we act upon. It acts upon us, and therefore we experience. Prakriti, the Divine Mother, is the source of all 24 cosmic principles. Her self-aware consciousness is inherently transformative and creative. Consciousness is, metaphorically, light or fire. If you think about it, you are on fire. 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hot. That's pretty hot. It is the fire of Prakriti, the fire of Brahman, Saguna Brahman. The fire of consciousness in every cell makes what is inert alive. The fire of consciousness. When that fire of consciousness leaves the body, leaves your body, you grow cold and are said to die. Yet, in fact, your body was never alive any more than your jacket or blouse is alive. You inhabit the jacket or blouse and make it move. Consciousness inhabits and enlivens your body. Your body is the machine. Consciousness is the operator. As it says in the evening hymn, speech cannot hold thee, this divine consciousness, this Ishvara Ishwari. Speech cannot hold thee, nor mind. Yet without thee, we think not nor speak. You are both Purusha and Prakriti, Nirguna Atman and Saguna Atman. As Prakriti, you revel. As Prakriti, you revel in the simple love of being and creating, of doing and experiencing. And in all that activity, being, creating, doing, experiencing, you naturally forget who you truly are. If you didn't, then it wouldn't work at all. And so spiritual practice is the recovery of the knowledge of who you truly are, and that this seeming separate individual that seems to be the doer, seems to be the actor, seems to be the experiencer, is in fact being moved by the consciousness that you truly are, which is one consciousness in its many, many, many forms. I mean, just here on Earth, I've forgotten the number, but it's in the hundreds of millions of different life forms that there are on Earth. Just on Earth. As Arjuna experiences when Krishna gives him divine sight and shows him all of the life forms of the universe, all of the expressions of the gunas in the universe, it's more than Arjuna can deal with. He says, "Oh Krishna, please stop it. Resume your familiar form." So before we go into a description of the gunas, is there anything that needs further clarification, anything you'd like to add from your own personal experience of these things, or that you'd like to ask.
Brother Shankar,
Yes, Bhagavad.
this is mind-boggling and this is mind-stimulating. It raises questions, it answers questions. So it creates a dialogue within yourself.
Yes.
Therefore, I'm going back to our two spiritual words, mantra and yantra. Yantra is machine, like you said. But mantra, it's not just a spoken word, it is consultation. That is the reason why the king's counsel is called mantri, because king keeps on asking him, now what? Now what shall I do? That is a consultation. And that consultation, all the time, the five senses are asking, okay, I smelled it. So what? Oh, this is the smell of a smoke. You better get out. That is the answer of the consultation. So this makes more and more sense. Like I said, it keeps on raising questions, answering questions, and I can understand why Arjun was baffled.
Yes. We have to remember that Arjuna is every person.
Exactly. It's me and you.
Arjuna hears, asks, and listens for all of us.
But I wanted to add two more sources who realized.
Yes.
That is very interesting. One is Krishna's mother, Yashoda. When Krishna he found eating the earth, the soil, which the children do, which is called paika. When he did that, he says, open your mouth. And Krishna, the Bal Krishna, the child Krishna, will not open his mouth. And he says, you better open. And as a mother, he pinched on the cheeks that the mouth is popped open, and then he saw what Arjuna saw. Mountains and the lightning and the earth and the fascinating earth. She was not an intelligent person. She was not a Harvard scholar. She said it because she had that love. She had that capacity, that instrument, that yantra to see. And the same thing in Hermann Hesse, in its Buddha, the boatman, Vasudev, sees the same thing. That means this is within the power of every one of us to perceive. Just let it go.
Yes, but it is only by turning away from the things of the senses. Only by turning away from our hypnotism and our fascination with what we have created to dance with, what we have created to be with. And so thank you, Bhagavad. That's all right on the money. And as you said, it raises questions as well as answers questions. An approximate explanation can do nothing but. Anything else from anyone?
Brother Shankara,
Yes, dear.
could you tell me if there is any distinction, or if there is, how and what kind of distinction between mind and buddhi? Because sometimes in West, they interchange, they use two words interchangeably. That mind is a seat of emotions. And
mind is the seat of feeling and thinking.
And emotions. And buddhi is discerning power.
Yes.
But in practical terms, sometimes we see both used in the same sense. So is there distinction? What kind of distinction?
Well, just think about the diagram that was described.
Mhm.
Mind is a creation of buddhi.
Ah,
Mind is a creation of buddhi in its expression. Uh, Prakriti expresses itself first as buddhi, through the great cause, first as buddhi, then, and of course, to say first and then second, this is just Kapila's way of trying to give us something to hold on to. But ahamkara,
mm,
then, out of this desire
mm,
to revel in being
mm,
and creating and transforming,
mhm.
creates the mind.
Ah, okay.
And so it is a creation through the, and I'm about to describe the tools, the gunas,
Mhm.
by which this is actually achieved.
Mm.
So mind and buddhi are not the same thing. We can think of the buddhi as as it seems to exist in us as the intelligent will.
Ah,
It is the kosha or sheath closest to the great cause.
ah, okay.
So, but these are all approximations and descriptions,
Mm.
as I said in the beginning, of the indescribable and the inexplicable.
Mhm.
So we're just doing our best to follow Kapila along.
Mhm.
And Kapila was giving our linear, our
Mm.
language-based mind
Mhm.
something to work with to understand how all this came to be.
Brother Shankara, another quick question on this.
Yes,
Buddhi is for individual, right? And Mahat is the cosmos or the universal. How is there any explanation how they are connected, the same time distinct?
the buddhi is not individual. The buddhi is as cosmic as Mahat itself and ahamkara. There is only one. It reflects itself in us as our conscience, our ability to tell one thing from another, and our what is called intelligent will. But there is not more than one buddhi. There's only buddhi, and there is only ahamkara. We are not separate beings. It is a delusion, as Krishna says very explicitly in chapter 3 of the Gita. It is the fundamental delusion that we are separate beings that are acting and doing and creating results.
Thank you, Brother Shankara.
Did that get it?
Yeah, thank you, Brother Shankara. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Brother Shankara, this is Fred.
Yes.
So the whole thing is set up for us to experience individuality.
Yes.
That's the game, right?
That's the fun.
Okay.
And to dance with one another.
Hey.
And to dance with one another. We get, in this dark time we're living in, which emphasizes competition over cooperation, which emphasizes wealth as a measure of worth rather than self-expression as a measure of worth. There's so much darkness and confusion. But nevertheless, there's no reason why, as we're doing right now, we can't dance with one another in our expression here together. We're doing this together. We can see it as a dance. And as Hafiz says, you have not waltzed so badly. my dear sweet crushed angel. You know, we're doing pretty darn well. Particularly to have come to where this is where we are on a Sunday morning, gathered together like this, so that we can experience this together and feel lifted up by the presence of one another, by the love and support that we feel from one another, and the fact that yes, we're dancing this dance together. And until we're finished. As Sri Ramakrishna said, you come to the mango groves, eat the mangoes. We are meant to experience this. We designed this for ourselves. Now, what is the inherent difficulty? We can get trapped in it. The confusion can be so strong that we forget, oh, this is something I'm doing, not something I am. Thank you, Fred. Anything else from anyone? Okay.
Shankara?
Yes, dear.
This is Laurie.
Yes, Lord.
I think when you were explaining Prakriti, you said that you mentioned something about anti-entropy. Did I
Yes.
hear that right? Can you explain that?
Oh, yes. Entropy is the tendency of things to become simpler and simpler and less complex and less specialized until finally there is no relationship among them at all. The anti-entropy is the tendency of things to combine and recombine and be ever more complex and specialized. One of the complex and specialized expressions of that anti-entropy is this very machine itself and what it experiences. If we think about universe as it is said to have been born, both in the Vedic explanation and in the scientific explanation, it is undifferentiated in the beginning. It is undifferentiated. It is only vibration at an unbelievably high rate, which, of course, in physics terms, is expressed as heat. Then the anti-entropic aspect of Prakriti comes into play. And it begins to cool and condense, and things begin to emerge. They become more complex. They become atoms. The particles become atoms. The atoms fall together. The most elemental atom, of course, is a hydrogen atom. A universe full of hydrogen, because of its inherent unevenness, it begins to fall together in places. The radiation is uneven, not even uniform. If it had been uniform, nothing would have ever condensed out of it. But it's uneven. So in some places it's more dense, other places less dense. Less hot, more hot. So hydrogen begins to fall together and become stars. Stars become galaxies. Stars explode. In their explosion, heavier elements are created because of the intense pressure. This is all anti-entropy. more and more specialization, more and more complexity. And now as we look out into universe through our amplified senses, our scientific instruments, we see this incredible diversity. Incredible diversity. And we're still very primitive in our understanding of it. Does that help, Lori?
It does. Thank you so much.
Okay. And thanks for asking the question. And that's what, we need to define these terms so we know what we're talking about. Anti-entropy is the tendency of things to become more complex, more specialized, more and more name and form.
Isn't it like modern medicine? There is specialist of bones and specialist of heart and specialist of
Oh, absolutely, Uma.
different.
And in every field,
Yeah,
this is going on.
it's so much.
Specialization, to the point where it's absolutely comical in some senses.
Yes. And so complicated.
Yes. Thank you, Uma. Anything else from anyone before we go on to describe the Gunas?
Brother Shankar,
Yes, dear.
in a way, it is comparable to medicine, but it also tells how medicine falls short. What it does is to prolong the life of yantra, the machine.
Yes.
If you do this, then you will be able to keep your body for 100 years,
Uh-huh.
5 years. You will never be unhealthy. The body will be functioning. But what do I do with that functioning body? Don't ask me that. That is not my area. I can keep your machine working. That's all what I can do, which is comparable to using a dynamo to make electricity, but not to use the electricity specifically to our advantage.
Yes.
That is where really fall short. There is no point in keeping a good dynamo working for 150 years or 200 years if the electricity produced by it is not put to use. And the body has to be put to use. And how to put it to a profitable, deeper, profound use is what our Vedanta does.
Yes. Exactly. Now, it's afternoon. There's a long description of the gunas and their functions. I hesitate to launch on that because it'd be well after 12:30 before we got this processed. And any questions or comments were also brought up. So I'm thinking what I'll do is I'll just continue this talk next week and specifically talk about the gunas and just defer what I was going to do next week until the following week. I think that would be better.
Yeah.
I think that would be better. So I'll just conclude with this. We'll review this. This will be part of. By the way, if you want to know about the gunas yourself, if you want to read about what Krishna says about it, it's in chapter 14.
Yeah.
Chapter 8 tells you about the night and the day of Brahma, manifestation and potential, the night of Brahma. I mean, the gunas are there. They're just in equilibrium. That's chapter 8, the night and the day of Brahma. And then chapter 14 is Krishna and the three gunas. And it's really fascinating. But I'll just close with this, and we'll continue this next week. Sri Ramakrishna in the Gospel says, God alone has become all this. Maya, the universe. Maya is another word for Prakriti. God alone has become all this. Maya, the universe, human beings, and the 24 cosmic principles. As the snake I bite, and as the charmer I cure. As the snake I bite, and so we get distracted from the truth of our being by the bite of the snake of our own desire for this doing and being and creating. So I'll start again. God alone has become all this. Maya, the universe, living beings, and the 24 cosmic principles. As the snake I bite, and as the charmer I cure. It is God himself who has become body. No, I'm sorry. It is God himself who has become both vidya and avidya. He remains deluded by the maya of avidya, ignorance. Again, with the help of the guru, he is cured by the maya of vidya, knowledge. That's the end of the quote. The way forward is to use that vidya, right knowledge, to discriminate between the products of Prakriti and Purusha, between the non-self and the self. Therefore, you must know and identify the products of Prakriti and distinguish them from Purusha. That thou art. You are, therefore you think and feel and perceive and act. So we'll take up the rest of this next week. This business about the Gunas and the products of Prakriti that they produce. Any other final comments or questions? Anything to ask? Anything to add? All right. So, let there be peace in outer space. Let there be peace in the sky, on the earth, and in the waters.
Let there be peace in the sky, the earth, and the waters.
Let there be peace in the herbs, the plants, and the trees.
Let there be peace in the herbs, the plants, and the trees.
May the gods be peaceful.
May the gods be peaceful.
May the whole universe be pervaded by peace.
May the
May the
whole
whole universe be pervaded by
pervaded
peace.
by peace.
Let this infinite, universal peace prevail throughout my being.
Let this
Let this
infinite
universal peace
prevail.
throughout my being.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace. Peace be unto us and to all beings.
Everywhere.
So we had a run at Sankhya, the 24 cosmic principles. And next week we'll discuss the tools with which all of this is brought into being, it's an intriguing concept. This business of inertia, activity, and calmness, or the concealing power, the projecting power, and the revealing power of tamas, rajas, and Sattva. So Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai. Durga, Durga, Durga. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you be cheerful. May you have peace of mind. May the divine being hold and protect you as you go forward. Until we see one another the next time, which could be as early as tomorrow evening if you want to join us for the reading and discussion group of love poems from God. Otherwise, we'll take all this up in the form of the Gunas next week. The Gunas, notice, are not themselves the cosmic principle. They are the tools. So,
Thank you.
any
Thank you.
final thoughts from anyone?
Brother Shankara.
Yes, dear.
Lightweight, I call Gunas mischief makers.
Yes. Well, the affectionate term for them among those who study all these things is the robbers, the three robbers,
They create all mischief.
because they are capable of. Even sattva is capable of distracting us from
That's why.
the goal. All right, dear hearts. Until next time, what does that say? There was something up on the screen, but I couldn't read what it said. Some chat thing. All right.
Oh, thank you, Brother Shankara.
Thank you, Brother Shankar. Bye.
Thank you so much.
All right, dears.
We love you.
We love you too. Until next time,
Adios.
adios.